Hey there, good morning. It's Nancy here. I am so glad to see you. I'm super excited about the guest we have today, Jonna Jones. For a lot of you that already know her, know just what a wonderful, radiant, beautiful lady she is and how she just straight talks it. It's so much fun. It's so much fun to watch her. And so, Jonna, she is a mother of two. And, she's her passion is helping women, helping women and showing that they're not alone because sometimes you can get so overwhelmed by being a mother, you lose yourself. And then you get a support system when you're bringing mamas together, right? So she's married to an ex-football player and they used to travel the world together, and then they had kids and they settled down in Waco, Texas. And they saw that entrepreneurial life, they created their own businesses and it made them totally independent. She's got this great story about where they are now, how they ended up on the island of Santa Maria. It's kind of like intuition leading her to where she is now. And I'm going to bring her on in 1 second. She's one of my favorite people. She's entertaining, but she just tells it like it is. I love it. And I think a lot of mothers need to hear that they're not alone with these feelings. They're not alone in the overwhelm, and she's going to show us how she still maintains this beautiful relationship with her husband and also with herself. So I'm going to bring her on right now. Hi Teresa, good to see you on here. Thanks for joining us. Works. So yeah, it's a beautiful day here in Portland. The sun's out. Hey Anna,
Hi!
good to see
Can you
you.
hear me?
Yes, I hear you well. Very good.
Perfect. I try to get a little bit of the ocean for you guys, but it's
Oh, look at
halfway there,
that.
but there it is.
Look at that. That is beautiful. Yeah, I see your Instagram
Uh-oh.
stories, and I see your
Can you hear
videos
me?
and the beach that you're at. Like,
Oh, here we go.
can you hear me? I hear
Yes,
you.
I can hear
Can
you
you
now.
hear me?
Yes, it froze for a second. Yes,
Okay, great.
perfect. All good.
Okay. Oh no, it's like, I hope it didn't freeze in like one of these weird positions.
It was okay. It was an okay
Okay.
freeze.
Okay, good, good, good. I hope I have my internet on. I hope I have my internet. I forgot to turn notifications off. Okay, nobody call me, please. I forgot to put it in silent mode.
The
So
classic. I do that all the time. You leave it on, it's bing, bing, bing,
yes,
bing.
yes. Or
Yes.
if a phone call comes on, it totally throws it off. So
Mm-hmm.
one of the things I forgot to do.
See,
Yes.
as a mother, nobody calls me anymore because I always tell them to text, so nobody calls me. I always text. They know better than now. There's a meme that says, before you call a mother, ask yourself, is this textable? That's like the storyline, the tagline of my life. Don't call me.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I'm sure a lot of mothers can relate. I don't have kids myself, but I've seen a lot of mothers balancing it
Hmm.
all. It's a
Yes.
full-time job, whether you're full-time mother or, you have a career you're balancing as well. And then you've got a
Yes.
husband as well. So it's just like
Hmm.
a juggling act. And a lot of times
Yes.
women can lose themselves. Like it's all
Hmm.
giving to them, which you should. It's your family, but then you have to like
Hmm.
fill your own cup first and give to yourself.
Yes,
So,
that's right. I was just chatting with a really good mom, a friend of mine, and she was telling me she was apologizing probably close to 15 times during, we actually did have a phone call. For 15 times, she apologized about her 4 kids in the background. And I told her, I kind of had an aha moment like, I don't really hear your kids because they're not mine. So I think it's also an expectation that we set for ourselves. Like when my kids are screaming, I'm like, nobody called me, like nobody come close to our house. Like I can't let you see this. But when it's someone else's kids, it's not as bad. But I think it's in our minds we create this, which I think where everything starts to shift, that is your mindset, right? But I think
mhm.
we create it for ourselves, and then we're so darn self-critical of everything that no wonder we can't then, like you said, serve anybody else.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Mindset is everything, everything. And
Hmm.
support, having the support to tell you that it's
Yes.
okay. It's okay to feel the way you're feeling. And
Right, right.
yeah,
Somehow we created this whole like you can't be blessed to have your kids and be tired. It's almost like you have to pick and choose. And I think that's where we went wrong because if we're looking at society, they're telling us, okay, well, the most blissful thing, the most wonderful thing is parenthood, about having your child. but then you're having these feelings that you can't really avoid. Like, what is it that Katie Carson always says? Feel the feels, but don't become the
Yes.
emotion, right? So you have these feelings, but society tells you, no, but it's wonderful to have a child. And of course it is. I love my kids more than anything in the world, but I do get tired. I do get so exhausted sometimes. And I think the moment that I decided to give myself grace and mercy, like it's okay to be both, it was like a light bulb went off, like, oh, I can be both. Like, it's okay.
Yeah, that's a
Isn't
big
that funny though? What a simple thing to do though.
Yeah, yeah. At least you recognized it instead of, staying in that spiral, and
Yes.
you're working on balancing it all. And I just love when you come on, you're just so real. Jonna comes on and she's just so real, and she's like talking on camera. She's like, oh, look at my little baby hairs. I haven't brushed my hair in days. And look at, this is what, this is the kind of the dinner you have in bed, and everything's on my pajamas. And look, there's a vacuum in the corner because I
yeah. And you know what, as you're saying all those things, some of them I remember, some of them I think I've blocked out because it took me a long time to do that, because there was a really dark season, especially when I transitioned from having one child to two children. I almost felt like I had to filter my life. Like, look at, there you go. Like, search for #MomLife. Like, there's all these beautiful mothers holding their kids, perfect outfits. Kids are never throwing up or anything. And I almost felt like I had to follow that. And I think for me, when I went through the greatest storm of my life, I think that was because I was trying to keep up with that kind of, it's the word, like a facade of having everything all together. And then I start sharing, actually now I do remember the vacuum post. I remember there's actually moms that reached out to me after that vacuum post, specifically telling me how they loved that vacuum, or they asked like just anything about the vacuum. But it wasn't so much about that. It was that it was real life. Like Michelle, our mutual friend, she's beautiful. She always says everybody wants real and raw, not what's perfect. And it's easy to say, but sometimes it's like, but I have to use the filter, right? Like, not me. Like, Nancy, you should be real, but not me. It's almost like we try to give ourselves an out. And I think people just love that real raw for the purpose of truly connecting with someone.
Yeah,
it's hard to connect with someone who's got the filter and was facade up.
No, because you don't fall in love with perfect. And, people aren't looking for perfect. And that's where a lot of things are changing too, especially in social media. And people like you are bringing the realness, because we can't relate to perfect. It's, airbrushed, perfect. Oh, I'm holding this baby and everything's great. But we're not hearing their stories behind it. We're not hearing the struggles they're going through, because we connect with other people. We identify, oh yeah, I'm going through the same thing. And it makes it okay, it makes it okay. Right. Yes.
Right.
Because
and sometimes we've convinced ourselves, especially as moms, because a lot of times we're so isolated, we're so lonely inside these four walls, that we've convinced ourselves that it's only us. And that, to your point, it's like, well, you really start believing everything that you're telling yourself, and you decide, okay, everything on Instagram, that's real, even though I know they're using filters. I know there probably was a meltdown right before that perfect picture, but no, that's their life. Their life is perfect. My life is this, typically I never have any, long gray big t-shirts is what I wear most of the days. I'm lucky if my hair is up. So kids are not here today, so it's a little different today. But
oh, good.
Oh,
you get a little mama break. And
yes.
As you're saying about, oops, my ear button dropped off. As you're saying about social media, like I said, it's changing. There's somebody that's been on like YouTube and everything forever, Suzanne. I don't know if you know her. She lives in LA. She has she calls her Little Minnie, or I think she's got a little girl, and she started making all these perfect polished videos. She's got like millions of followers. She does fashion and all that. And then her fans, she started going back to real talk. They wanted real from her. So instead of all these polished videos, she's just coming on and straight talking. And, if you listen to anything, that's what they're going to. So all these polished images, like I believe like Instagram, some people are like, oh, it's just models. And, you can get anything on there and they don't like it, but you can curate it to anything that you want. I follow inspirational, you'll follow mamas, travel, just like Facebook. I hate it. I didn't like Facebook after the politics. I'm like, it's Facebook politics. I can't stand it. But we've created How I Met You. So Jan and I met in Facebook Live community. There's like over 2,000 people in there now. And it's just a group of people who are, conscious based, there's spirit, I don't know how you call it. They're entrepreneurs, but in the spiritual sense, conscious, evolved, elevating people, raising people up. So I go on there to see what everyone's doing. So I don't really scroll through a lot of the other stuff, I'm like, oh, what's Jonna doing? What's Tina doing? What's Frank Clark
Hmm.
have to say today? So
Uh-huh.
you
It's
can
like a
do that.
glimpse of the real world, and it's in motion too. It's like I love how the whole, what is the saying? You can't hide behind live video. I think
Yeah.
that's why it's so powerful because you can't put a filter. I don't know if you can put a filter. You can't put a filter on it. You can't fake it. It is what it is. And I think to your point, I totally agree. Like people really crave that real, raw, like
Yes.
moments, like cooking videos. Have you seen those perfect cooking videos?
Yeah.
It's like everything's clean, everything's like perfect teaspoons. I'm thinking of making a cooking video because my kitchen, I think a lot of moms could relate. It's so dirty and I don't use measuring cups or whatever they're called. I use like, okay, kind of 2 teaspoons and kind of here and there. But I think that's the real life. And I have not yet found a video like that. And I think for a lot of mothers, I think it's so overwhelming and it's so like, it makes you feel so weak because you see all these perfectly,
Yeah.
set up, everything on it. Like it's so perfect. It's like, how do you do that? How could you
Yes.
possibly do that with kids? And you can't. And I think that's why also we look at social media. And granted, I think there's more good that comes with social media, but there's
Hmm.
also some bad aspects to it. And I think when you start comparing somebody else's highlight to your behind the scenes, I think that's when we start losing ourselves.
Yeah.
And I love what you're doing, by the way. I didn't get to say that. Your whole movement behind like really tapping into your feminine energy. When I started seeing that stuff on my newsfeed, I'm like, okay, I have to avoid that because I'm really not focusing on that. And I know that I should, but she's going to call me out if I do anything. But it's so needed, especially for mothers. I don't know if you know how needed it is because a lot of
Thank
times
you.
the whole like masculine energy, it's like, getting things done, like really being on spot all the time, going, okay, you do this, this, and this, take the trash out. Why doesn't my husband take the trash out? No wonder they don't want to feel like a woman. You can't boss your husband around. But so I feel like us as moms, we easily go into the whole masculine energy and we forget to really just let go
Hmm.
and let it flow because it's so hard when you're trying to take care of kids and you're trying to
Yes.
organize everything. So I'm just a huge fan of everything that you're
Oh,
doing.
thank
And I think
you.
a lot of women, especially a lot of moms, need it.
Thank you. Yes, I'm so excited about, I'm so excited about helping mothers. I'm so busy career women, everybody, because that's where it all started, returning back to your femininity, your feminine
Hmm.
essence. Because like I said, when you fill your own cup, you have more to give everybody else because it's like a
You see him?
refresher. What is that?
Oh, I can't hear it. He's
Oh,
cutting the grass. He's probably
oh,
like, why are you talking to your cell phone? Sorry,
oh.
continue. There he is.
Hi. Hi, man in the background. So Nora's here and so is Inga. Hi, good to
Hi,
see you.
Nora.
Thanks for tuning in, both mothers themselves.
Uh-huh.
Yes, yes. So, what was I going to say about that? Oh, so you did something the other day to take care of yourself. You drew yourself a bath, right? And that's how you
I
feel.
did.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yes. And I've actually, since Ben's been gone for a couple of weeks now in Texas working on a ranch, I bought this huge bag of lavender salt. And so I just started, I mean, at the end of the night, it's typically the time when it gets to 9 o'clock and the kids go to bed. Maybe a lot of moms can relate to this. It's like that would be your perfect time to go to bed and actually catch up on sleep. But for some reason, we never quite do that right then. I typically always stay up and watch TV, which I know I should do. Every single morning, I regret it. But I still, for some reason, do it all the time. But I decided I didn't do it at night. In the morning, after I dropped the kids off at daycare, I found myself getting into this masculine role of, I got to get this, 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 and this done. And really like ignoring the fact that my body was craving just to slow down and realign myself.
Mm-hmm.
So after I dropped the kids at daycare in the morning against all of the maybe guilt trips that the society was, that I had in my head, I put on a hot bath with lavender salt and I had coffee and breakfast in the bathtub.
I love it.
Literally that morning. And I felt like it took 2 hours of my life, the whole set together, but
Uh-huh.
it gave me so much. Like after that day, all I needed was a couple power hours to work on the stuff that I needed to get done. I really didn't need the whole full, day of work. I just needed to really sit back and really like what is it that you so elegantly call it? Like tapping
Drop
into
in.
your feminine.
Yeah.
Yes, like real, like, and I felt like it gave me so much more of me, like the whole thing about you can't
Mm-hmm.
pour from an empty cup. We
Mm-hmm.
all say that, but then when do we really feel it, right? Well,
Right.
now it's not convenient. You can't really, I mean, now really you got the kids, the household, the husband, everybody's requiring something of you. But if we don't take the time when it's inconvenient to pour into ourselves, how could we possibly serve anybody else around us?
Right. No, absolutely. Absolutely. I love that you took the time for yourself. So maybe you don't have 2 hours. Like you gave yourself that luxury.
Mm.
You stopped everything. Gave yourself a bath. You had breakfast in the villa. I love that. So even if you
Yes.
don't have that kind of time, if you have, 5 minutes, just honey, can you take the kids? You just go into the room. Maybe you just do soft movement. You could, put a song, drop yourself back into your body, go and just even sit and breathe, become present, touch what's around you. That'll drop you back in, even if you have just 5 minutes, So
yes, especially if you can change the physical scenario too. I feel like that a lot of times, if I can just say, I'm closing the door, I'm heading out the door for a few minutes for a walk. Granted, with how amazing Ben is, it always turns into like a couple hours, like, bye, I'm out. Maybe that's why he's been gone for so long. But even if it's changing the physical, I feel like that has something like a lot to do with it, because especially with kids, you can still hear them from the other side of the house. So if you're really trying to tap into, your feminine flow, it's sometimes really hard when you hear the kids scream in the background.
do you have, this might help you as well, and I bought them because when I took my trip to Bali, it was a long trip, headphones, that have noise canceling, and you just can put on some kind of meditative music, that's
It's been on my to-do list for as long as I can remember. Yes.
Costco has it.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I got them. And, you can plug in the cord and I think it was like 155. It was great. And it was, I use it here because, I'm in a household with a little 3-year-old, and she's awesome. It's so much fun staying here with, my friend Amber and her daughter. It's like been such a blessing to me. Yeah, it's been great. So,
all I can think about when you say that, the 2-year-old is so amazing. Like, you're so nice, but
she's 3.
As a mother, I'm always like, because everybody else says that about Maddie and Maverick all the time. Oh, they're so amazing. They're so amazing. And here's my tagline. I always say, give him some time. And maybe it's us as mothers, we see the best, we see, both sides of him, obviously, just like in a relationship, you see the, the good and the bad, and but what everybody else sees is just the good. So going back to my original point, I think we're just so hard on ourselves all the time,
Yeah. So, I've seen the bad, but I'm not the one that has to handle it 24/7. And it's so funny because like I could be out and other people's kids, I'm like, but her kids, when it's a close friend of mine, it doesn't bother me. Like I can just like, I kind of like laugh when I hear these little tantrums or whatever, because it's like almost cute, but the mom's getting so frantic and frustrated.
Yes. Yes. Oh, and I think it's kind of like the whole sunburnt concept. Like it's almost like your whole body is so sunburnt that even a small little tantrum, like a tiny little scream, it's like all of a sudden it's so sad that you go crazy. And it's not necessarily because of that tantrum. It's because there were 100 of them.
Yes.
The weeks leading to it. And I think that specifically is the reason why moms, you have to take the breaks, because if you don't, that's what you're going to blow up over something stupid. The worst is, and Ben and I have really worked on this, but in the beginning when the kids came around, it was really hard for us to remember to stay on the same team, because I feel like a lot of it was on me, because I always snapped at Ben for the kids having done something. And I realized so that was causing tension between us, and that wasn't fair to Ben. But I went into such like masculine role, like fix it, fix it, fix it. Like, why did you take the trash out too? And it's got nothing to do with the trash, right? It's just everything piling up. And I never took the time to really sit back and think of, like, just breathe, woman, like breathe, what's wrong with you? And of course, if a man says that to you, it's not like that's gonna work. Like, what is this thing with men saying, relax, woman? It's like,
they're trying to fix it. It's fix it. Both are going into that reaction. You're going into reaction without, taking a moment to breathe, and he's going to reaction too. Just fix it, because they, all this tension's going on. So, so you and your husband have a, story about how you came together, right? Used to be, a model from Finland. So she's from Finland. Yes.
That was about 40 pounds ago. Yes.
Oh, please. I saw you in a bathing suit, girl. I'm like, hello, abs.
Isn't that so funny? Even with pictures, we find that like the parts of us that we like to fix immediately, nobody else sees them. Nobody else even cares that they're there. They would just think it's a cute part of you. But we see everything that's wrong with us immediately. And even for some, like, I feel like because of my past in the modeling industry, I feel like I've been so like tuned in, like I should know better. Like I remember specifically before I moved to Italy, my boss at that time at my agency in Finland, with the way that we would practice for the castings in Italy, in Milan, was he would have me stand up in front of him. He would be sitting at the desk. He would go through my book, and he would literally never say anything positive. And I remember specifically, he looked at my thighs and he said, so how are you going to fix that? Because you are a little bit too big on the hips. And he would just stare at me. And that was like coaching. And I was 17 or 18 at that time. And I never, back then I felt like, okay, well, maybe, how do I answer? I'm going to lose weight. Like I would come up with whatever I could. And now looking back, I feel like that was a really dangerous season of my life. And granted, I did get out of that, I think 12 months later after that, because I realized it was getting really dangerous for me. But My point was, even after all of that, like knowing how wrong it is to focus on the negatives, how dangerous it can be, it's still so easy to say, but it's so hard to do, you know?
Right. And it's such a young, impressionable age. They're just, a young girl
Hmm.
just getting out of high school, after like,
Yes.
the pressures of high school, getting out, you're on your own, you're modeling, you're competing against all these other girls. And
Hmm.
then you're told that your thighs are too big. And that's why, so
Yes.
many girls are starving themselves in the modeling industry.
Yes.
But thankfully, a
Yes.
lot's changing, right? Isn't it? Where they're taking
Yes.
more fuller figure. I mean, fashion models are still
Yes.
like rail thin, but
Yes. And here's and always, I mean, Paris and Milan, they are like the fashion capital. So I think they're always going to be a little bit different. And I hope this is not too controversial to say here, but one of my really good back in the day, old designer friends, they said the reason why they want, especially in Milan, for the models to be really thin and really like no breast, no nothing, is because a lot of times the designers, they're gay, so they want the women to look like little boys, which is clothes on, which kind of makes sense. Like that's their
mm-hmm.
preference, that's what they would like. So, but it makes sense that it's because it's unrealistic for a woman, especially, to not have any breasts or have the hips of,
Yes.
the teenager, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. But it is
Yeah.
changing. I think you're right, especially here in the States. I feel like there's a whole different market. I mean, you
Mm-hmm.
can be, curvy and still have a good career. So I just think it depends on what market you're going after too.
Yeah.
But that was
Yeah.
a really scary time, and I remember those thoughts were, and of course, if we talk about the femininity, is that the word, femininity?
Yeah.
Like for me, all of a sudden, now I felt like, okay, to be feminine is to be very, don't show any emotion, just go to the castings, because that to me was beauty back then. So now that, you've kind of opened up my whole mind to the different forms of, I don't know if I'm making any sense. Like to me, maybe the definition of being feminine, it was so different back then that it actually, back then that was, now that I look at it, it was actually masculine. And there I was thinking that was being really feminine, like no emotion, no connection,
Mm-hmm.
just be
Mm-hmm.
cool. So, nobody really gets to know you, on a deeper level. And so like, don't connect with people because you got to, keep people away from you. And I don't know if I'm making any sense, but
No,
I
it
feel like
totally
it's
does.
changed. I think it's changed so much in the last 10 years so for me, but only because I feel like I've allowed it to change. There's been many seasons when I didn't want to allow it to change, and I wonder what the reason for that is. I think maybe it's sometimes too painful or scary to allow yourself to be in that position and think, hey, maybe I could be more, maybe I don't know. When you start dating and it's all like fluffy, like everything's, what do you call it? A honeymoon.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're sharing everything. You're really wanting to be vulnerable. I think there comes a time in every relationship where that kind of slowly shifts away. And it's more like, okay, now let's make sure we take care of this, 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 and this. And it's almost like sometimes there's a really, like, it's almost like you become roommates for that season when the woman forgets to be feminine. Does
Mm-hmm.
that make sense?
Yeah.
Is that a
Yeah,
thing?
because it is totally because there's polarities. You have to keep the dynamics.
Yeah.
Opposites do not attract, but well, it's a polarity. So he's in his masculine, she's in his feminine, and that's what
Hmm.
keeps it juicy and vibrant. It's like an undulation, it's an ebb and flow. And while it's not there all the time, it might not be all the time you come back to it because that's what
Right.
separate being a roommate, a spouse that has that chemistry you have to come back to that chemistry all the time, or you're just become
Hmm.
roommates, which a lot of people do over time
Yes. Oh,
because they're taking
especially when the
both
kids come.
roles.
Yes. 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 Especially I think when the kids come around, because then you're like, well, the to-do list, all of a sudden it's not about us anymore. So even if we wanted to, the kids go before us, which I could argue actually both ways, because truly, if you and your spouse are not in the same team, it's going to be pretty difficult to raise children. Uh,
Hmm.
but it's so easy. Yeah, I 100% agree with you. Like you forget to be in your own element and you just become roommates.
Yeah.
So true.
Yeah.
Huh.
And it's same even with, and then you add the pressure of kids and, you
Hmm.
add that to the mix. And yeah, that's why I don't know what our divorce rate is, 65% out here. It's pretty big.
Yeah.
Hi, Nicole. Good
Yeah.
to see you. So Nicole's here. She's
Hey, good
good
morning.
morning. She says the environment has such an influence on us. Lovely that you opened up for yourself. And she's talking
Mm,
about, yeah.
thank you. Yeah. And I think the same now that I look at, because back then, obviously, I was single and I did whatever I wanted to. But looking even right now, as we are a married couple with two kids, it really matters what kind of circles we hang out at. Like
Hmm.
there are certain couple friends, like that community where, how should I put this? Like it's more about the individuality, like they just care about whatever they want to do and they're not really thinking of the other person's feelings. And then we have the other community that's like really couple focused, really family focused, and they're aware of these different roles around them. Like I don't know if I know exactly how to put this. Kind of like the whole like being jealous, right? It's really hard to, or not being jealous, but
Keeping up with
like
the
get,
Joneses, like keeping up with the Joneses,
yeah,
they have to keep outdoing each other, or like,
yes, yeah, yeah. And then also the whole thing of like, uh what's it called, like when you're trying to, like, it's really hard to resist the temptation. It's much easier to just avoid it. Like even if you
mm-hmm,
like, okay, like snacks in the kitchen, it's much easier not to have them because you're not going to win that battle, so better to just avoid it, not buy them, because if you try to resist it, you're going to give in. I think it's the same in relationships. Like if things start to get tense within your own relationship, it's easy, especially if the other spouse is a working spouse, it's easy for them to just go out there to their office job and start hanging out with the opposite sex, and all of a sudden it's not so much like, I'm not saying that, like, of course people don't do that on purpose, that's
mm-hmm,
that, it never starts like that. It's just that you allow yourself to be in that situation, and then you get emotionally connected, you start
mm-hmm,
building that love bank, right, with that
mm-hmm,
someone else, and then
mm-hmm,
all of a sudden you realize that you believe you're in love with your coworker.
mm-hmm.
I don't know how
Yeah,
I got on that topic though, but that was
yeah.
just in the top of my
No,
head.
no, that happens. It happens without it, even a marriage, because they're not getting it from their partner. And then,
Right,
that happens. It's easier a lot of times for them to go over to someone else because they are feeding that need inside them
right,
instead of openly communicating with each other about how they're
that's right.
feeling and what's not
I
working
was
for them.
Yes, I was going to get to that point, because
Hmm.
when you said we're not getting it from our spouse, why are we not getting it from our spouse?
Yeah.
You know, it's not always, sure, it's, I think it's sometimes it is the spouse, but a lot of times I think it's, both of you, 50-50. And maybe there's some things that, you changed because of something that happened, and then no longer are you really open, like you said, the way that you were before,
Hmm. Yeah, no,
you know?
absolutely. And so with that, what do you do with your husband to keep that dynamic going? Just so, do you have date nights? What do you do to
Mhm.
keep your, fire burning?
Yeah, so we try to do date nights, which we haven't been able to do in 4 months since we moved to this island, because I don't trust any of the babysitters here. I finally found someone that I trust, so I'm like,
Uh-huh.
I need to get honest. There are good people. Not everybody's bad. But granted, to that point, we have the kids at the local daycare here on this island that they
Hmm.
really love. So even though we don't get date nights, we do a lot of daytime dates. Like we'll just
Mm.
take off, turn our phones off, and just go to the movies, just have dinner, have a couple cocktails during the day, and focus on each other back, that way. But also, I don't think it's the same as having night dates, because at nighttime, it's like at least you get to come to your home, you can just go to bed, the kids are already in bed, versus the daytime dates, you still, you got to pick up the kids, and you have the whole, being mommy and daddy. So you're not really being a husband and wife during those activities during the evening.
Hmm.
So, but we do that to try to have a day dates. Probably sometimes it makes me feel so guilty when I say how often, because we do have the luxury of working from home, and a lot of our work calls, they're kind of um, they're very, we work a lot when we work, but we don't work that many hours in a day, which I'm very blessed to say that we
Hmm.
can do. So a lot of times we end up having, sometimes 3-4 dates during the week, which I love, but at the same time, it's not the same as having date night. So I think I'm trying to make up for the for the quality and quantity, because for a mother, it's really nice that she's able to come home and the kids are already in bed, and you can just do whatever you want to do,
Right.
if that makes sense. But also, I did fly my nanny in from Texas about a month and a half ago. I flew her in. I did use my points, so it didn't cost me that much, but I flew her in, and I told her she could stay here at our house for, half a week, if for a few days. On top of that, she'll watch the kids. So she flew in, she watched the kids, and we just took off. We went to Clearwater, which is about two
Oh,
hours from where
nice.
we're at.
Hmm.
And then we booked random hotels, 3 different nights, 3 different hotels, and we just pretended like we were single again.
Oh my
Which I
gosh,
think
how
is
cute.
sometimes so hard to do as a married couple, because you're so like, I think all these, sometimes the same thing with parenthood, it's the same thing with marriage. Like all of a sudden, like, oh, now we're married, we shouldn't interact like that, or we shouldn't that. Like, who cares? Like, just let it, like you said, be feminine, do whatever you want to do.
Hmm.
Katie Wren, she just made a beautiful post. You know Katie, right?
Hmm.
She made a post about how back in her 20s, she used to be, when she would go out, and I'm not saying you have to go out and get wildly drunk, but she'd go out and she'd actually dance with whatever music that was going on. But then as she entered her 30s and she had her first child, all of a sudden she felt so like constricted by everything, like she couldn't, like, no longer just, you know allow it to flow. And she a lot of what she talked about had to do with being a mother. Like all of a sudden we have these expectations of how a mother should be, how a wife should be, and we no longer just give ourselves permission to just let go and do
Hmm.
what feels good, instead of trying to think, what would they say about me if I do this.
Hmm. Yeah, that's another
That's a
thing.
long
Mindset.
answer.
No, no, it's
Yes.
great. that's another thing, like mindset. You're in your mind, and then she gave up, like she gave up her femininity because she's not dropping into her body. It's more about what, expectations and what they're thinking of me,
Yes.
and another mind state.
Yes. Have you been to Tony Robbins, the Date with Destiny event?
I have not. Hi, Amber.
Okay, so they have, hey Amber, they have this relationship night in the middle of the 6-day program, where at the end of it, and if you haven't been, this may seem kind of crazy, but Tony has all the women. He talks about and maybe you know a lot about this too, the dark and the light energy, and he has all the women dance in a very like dark energy way, like kind of like clubbing in my opinion, and then he has everybody dance in a feminine way. And even though they split all the couples, so Ben and I weren't sitting next to each other, I remember when Tony asked everybody to dance in a very feminine way, I was trying to find a place where Ben couldn't see me. Because, and it's so weird, it's awkward to say it out loud here, but I was trying to find, and I don't know why. I'm still asking. I kind of have the answer to it, but I don't know why, because then he did find me. I didn't see him back then, thank God, but he told me, and this is what he said. He said, I don't remember ever seeing you so beautiful in your own element as you were then. And I hated him for saying that, because I'm like, you were not supposed, I'm getting chills as we're speaking. He was not supposed to see that. And then I'm asking, so I'm trying to always, self-analyze myself. Why was I so afraid of letting him see? I mean, the 5,000 other people saw me that way, but why did I not want him to see? So tell me, oh great Nancy, what do you think the reason is? Pretty tough question, I know. Help me, analyze me.
Because you're his wife and his mother. Self-analyze, I'm not a therapist. Because it's someone that means a lot to you, and you're letting this, your femininity out. You're letting your, you're so dropping in. It's sensual, it's sexual, it's, and it's like, oh my gosh, my husband can't see me like this. Like, yes, because it means so much for him to see you like that. And you're really, it's like vulnerability. You're showing that layer of yourself. And for him to maybe see it in your head, thinking that he's going to reject you for, being who you really are.
Yes, because I remember in that moment, I felt so awkward. I was like, oh my God, this is terrible. I am like somebody just please get me out of here. I remember feeling so awkward. And then when he said those comments, it was almost like I thought he was making fun of me. And of course, that was an interesting argument right after, because in my mind, I'm immediately thinking, what do you mean that was what did I see, I knew it was bad. I knew I shouldn't tap into it. I know it maybe started to feel natural, but I should not have done that. So, oh yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. You're afraid of he's going to like reject, because that's who you are. And that's, you are tapping into your authentic true self, and to be rejected for that, it's very, it's vulnerable. And it would just like, you pull back into yourself. And after being so free, expressing who you are, to have to like pull it back in like a turtle, like, that's, yes.
It's almost exactly like that. Even with the posture, like it was, I remember, I don't even know what I did. I just had my arms around, and then I went back to my seat and I put on my nice jacket and I sat up straight, like really masculine. So no, and it's going back to when you said, because it's like I was reaching that feminine point that I hadn't been allowing myself to be. So maybe it was, like you said, fear of rejection. So maybe in the back of my head, I was thinking maybe of not being good enough. And if I'm not good enough, I'm not loved. Therefore, what's the point of me being here at all?
Yeah.
Like, so it would be
See
better.
How the spiral goes?
Yes. It's almost like it would be better not to even tap into that at all, because just in case, I get rejected, I don't want to be there. So I better stay masculine and control my surroundings. Yeah. But obviously that's not working. So
it's so funny that you came right out like, la, 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 popped right back in. Did anyone see me?
Oh yeah, I remember that. And I had this pink, really nice, really like, those really fit, like with shoulder pads. It was like really like
shoulder pads.
Yeah. Well, not like really
like the
thick,
80s.
But like yes, but really like, I am here. Like it was definitely not feminine.
Like, yes, that didn't happen. Have you done that dance for him since?
No. And as we were speaking, I knew that you were going to ask. No, I haven't. And that's actually something that would be really interesting to see if it's beneficial, because I'm sure he'd be like, okay, let's do it like right now. But I'm thinking, how could I possibly, like my mind, I'm immediately, as you asked me that question, like, how could I possibly tap into that now? Like so awkward even thinking about it. Oh, taking me back to that room filled with 5,000 people. And I mean like specifically like to just, I don't know, let go. I don't let go very easy, I've noticed. Help me.
Yeah. maybe just practicing, when you get those 5 minutes in your bedroom, like turning on the music and just going out there, like put on your heels. Sometimes I know you have to get to that space, put on some heels, put on those, like, I've seen your body, girl. Put on that like cute little underwear, maybe a little bra, and just do a sexy dance. Have you ever done Sheila Kelly, S Factor, or any goddess fitness? Maybe there's pole, maybe there's aerial hoop. There's different kind of dances that can really get you there. I actually want to find something out here so I can drop into that myself. But yeah, something, just practice 5 minutes a day. And you're like, oh my gosh, don't let anyone see me. I get it.
I think that's a good point for me, because I always like to stay busy. Like, it's hard for me to just, like, if I think of me being feminine and dancing, I'm thinking, well, what am I going to do with my hands? Like, I'm always like, these are too long. Like, what do I do with this? So if I had a pole or something, maybe I could focus on the pole, So maybe that's a good point. Maybe I haven't really allowed myself to try anything like that, because I feel like, well, I don't know. I literally practically do not know what is my step number 1 and 2. Sure, I have the heels on now.
See, you're in your head. You just can't do that. You just have to do it. Right, Amber?
Yeah.
So if Amber's on here, she's who I'm staying with, and my lovely friend that I'm so grateful for. She did a pole class with her friends, and she came back, hurting and a little wounded, because you're the walking wounded, you're bruised everywhere. And then I showed her a move. I crawled on the floor, like where you drag on the floor, and I'm like, oh my gosh. I walked down, like, my foot's hurting. My foot, on the top of my foot, I had a rug burn. Like, it scraped the top of my skin off. I'm like, so much for being sexy. I haven't done it in a while. Scraped the top off of my foot. It took so long to heal. Like, oh my God.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So what about for the women or mamas that don't have a pole in their bedroom? What do you think another option would be?
You don't have to do a pole, carpet. You can get rug burns. That's when I used to do Goddess Fitness. We had knee pads for it. And doing on heels, I don't wear heels that often. It was so awkward, like doing on heels. It's barefoot. So, you don't even have to go.
I have an idea. Is this plus 18? I mean, I gotta be careful of how I word this. So one of the things, even though I have not done that whole dance since then, but one of the things when I was actually, and it's funny, I think I've blocked this out of my mind, but so maybe this is okay. Just top me if this is too much. But we have a really nice camera. So speaking of like heels and stuff, so I remember, like, I have really nice outfits that I like to put on. And I feel like sometimes that gets me in that feminine state. Maybe the problem is if I'm trying to be all feminine with my old gray T-shirt that smells like baby food, it's probably not going to work. So maybe I remember specifically this one time, like I had really nice set of, sexy lingerie on, and we have this camera. So it's almost like when but then to me, that almost feels like so you can, take nice pictures, and that gets you in the feminine like state, but nothing else. I don't know. Doesn't that feel a little bit artificial? Like, okay, you're doing it for the No?
No, I mean, a lot of women, I know they can pose sexy in front of the camera. No, whatever gets you there, that's totally fine. Are you thinking it might be a little narcissism or something like that?
Yeah, like a little bit. Yeah.
No, you can just.
No. Nicole is here, glamming up Jonna. Oh, and look at her picture. She's got that really hot, sexy police outfit on. That's awesome, Nicole. I need to get one of those.
Yeah, Nicole says, one becomes so much more beautiful by becoming authentic like you did. Like being real. Yeah. There. And Kim's here. Hi, Kim.
Hi, Kim. I think sometimes, especially for me, I think the problem, because I feel like I know what I'm doing, but I'm not always doing what I know. I think it's that control thing. Like, I feel like I have to be in control of everything. And obviously, if you're trying to be in your feminine role, especially in the bedroom, men typically don't want you to be in control anyway. So that's kind of like counterproductive. So I feel like letting go of the control, of the need to control everything, is the hardest for me.
Yeah.
Weird as that sounds.
Yeah. And it's just a, balance, like you said, because you are running a household, you have kids, you're a husband, your wife, your mother, and then yourself, and, there's a way to, like, that's why I talk about unlocking feminine power, because there's a way to do it from that feminine power, how you relate with your husband, how you relate with your kids, and you have a daughter too. So you can be teaching her all these, and you can be teaching your son too, to like, be a champion of that, in a woman and his sister. And your kids are really young. They're 3 and 2. Well,
Yeah, they're almost 3. Yeah, 2 weeks
Yeah.
from being 3, and the other one's a couple months from being 2. So
Yeah. So
they're
she's,
wild. They're as wild as it gets.
yeah.
But she's watching us. She's watching. I've learned. No, I've noticed everything that Ben and I do. She really does watch us. And even like Maverick, one time he fell off the bed. It happens. He fell off the bed, and she immediately went to get her doll, and she threw the doll off the bed. And then I was wondering what she was doing, but she was mimicking what I was doing because I was comforting Maverick.
Oh,
Petting his head, and she was doing the same thing to the doll. And that's when I realized she was even repeating my words. And I realized because a lot of times, like Ben is really good at being in presence, being in the moment, and I have sometimes such a hard time just like what about the dishes? I mean, everything needs to be taken care of. So I have a hard time like allowing myself to be in the moment with him, even for a hug in that moment when when he's initiating it. And now I've discovered, to your point about teaching Maddie, I see Maddie watching us. So what kind of an example would I um,
be setting.
be setting to Maddie whenever, if Ben comes to me as my husband just for a little moment of just being together, and I always push him away because I'm so busy cleaning and cooking and taking care of crap that really doesn't matter in 5 years from now anyways. So I think that's a really good way to look at it, because if I think it's not just for me, it's not just for Ben and I, it's also the example that we set for Maddie and Maverick. Like, how do we want them to grow up in their relationships?
Yeah.
Oh, you just put a whole nother twist to it, because it's no longer about, I just don't want to hug right now. I just need to get things done. I need to control everything. But now it's more about like, what kind of a legacy, what am I leaving Maddie
For
with?
your children. Yeah.
Yeah. And now that you said that, not to go too much into it, but if I think of how my parents were, I could see, my mom was always very busy. She was always taking care of everything and anything else. And I didn't see them interact a lot that way. So maybe there's some deep stuff there.
It does have an effect, because they're saying, I think between birth and 8 is where everyone's like, it's impressionable. So all through your life, a lot of that, what happened during that period of time, it's unconscious programming that keeps happening, and they bring it into awareness and resolve it, and get through it, is where, all the healing happens. So yeah, it's a very big impressionable age.
Yes.
Yes.
And then even though like I can recognize this, and my parents, I love them. I think they have a great relationship. But even though I recognize this pattern that my mom had, at the same time, like I feel like I'm self-analyzing too much, because I look at it as maybe that's the reason why I find it hard to be in the moment. But then I also don't want to use that as an excuse. Like, so you recognize it, you see how you can shift your mindset, but don't get stuck on it, because so many of us, it's easy to say, oh, because of my childhood, look at Tony Robbins. Oh, because of my childhood, this and this and this. So that's why I am the way I am today. No, like, fix it, right? So I feel like I'm stuck in between, like, okay, work on this more, or just give it. I mean, giving it isn't an option, right? But it's sometimes so hard, especially when you're having a bad day or you failed. I think that's when it's really hard to get in that negative mindset, which obviously doesn't help the femininity come out.
Right. Well, because it's like what you're used to and what you go back to. And it's, the moment something happens, it's over. It's over. Like if you get hit, it's over. It heals. Like it happened. It's in the past. It's done. But we carry that with us forever, the emotion of it. And if you've carried it so long, it's almost something that you're going back to that's comforting, even though it's not helping you. But it's something that and
yeah, even my mom did it. I can do it. Even my mom did it, right? Sorry, continue.
Oh, no. That's good.
But it's almost like I'm giving myself an excuse. Like, well, my mom and my dad, they have a good relationship, but yet my mom was still, not as much in a moment when my dad wanted to be in a moment, and they made it work. So maybe that's okay for me too. It's almost like you give yourself permission not to want more for your relationship, because you've seen a pattern that was okay and worked, but I don't know. It's like giving yourself a reason to have that excuse. I don't know.
Yeah, because then you feel justified, and you don't have to change. You don't have to change the situation. You don't have to be responsible for the situation. So
I love what Nikki's saying about it's just a natural mom thing. We want things to be organized and done, and you have to ignore it and be sexy when they want it, huh? Yeah, and I think the key to that, and of course, I think I'm really good at maybe teaching other moms this, but I'm not so good at applying it myself always. But I think it's as simple as just practice. Like, how could I, like, even the whole feminine thing at the Tony Robbins event for me, I'd never really done it before, except for, pre-babies a decade ago. But if you don't try it, if you don't do it over and over and over, how could you get better at it?
Yeah. No, and
you can always come to the great Nancy for advice.
Oh, no. Well, everything that I talk to, I've had through experience because it was always easy. I've just always been very sensual and very, I don't know, sexual. It's just, I don't know if it's sexual, but it's easy for me to just kind of drop in and get in that movement. But I've been criticized for it before, like, oh, well, you shouldn't be doing that. I mean, on my 40th birthday, I was doing Sheila Kelly's S Factor, and I had all these people at this piano bar.
Wait. 40th birthday?
When I had my 40th birthday, like almost 10 years ago.
Look at her skin. You look amazing. Oh my goodness. Holy goodness. Sorry, I didn't mean to cuss.
No, it's fine. Yeah, I had my 40th birthday, and there was a guy that I was seeing, and I just, it was this like speakeasy type bar, and it was this piano. And what I learned in the Sheila Kelly S Factor, I did a dance on the piano, and then I brought another friend up. If I had this fabulous dress on, like the Fabulous Baker Boy, and I did one of those.
Hold on before you continue. I imagine myself doing that, and it looks really awkward. So, okay.
Well, if you did Sheila Kelly or one of those classes, it wouldn't, because they just teach you, movement, sensuality, and every type of woman, every body type coming from anywhere. They come in there. There's no mirrors. You just are there, and you're and you're taught all these dances. So yeah, I was dancing on the piano. Some people loved it, but the guy was saying he didn't. He's like, "Oh, you shouldn't do that again." And it crushed me. He's like, "Yeah, I saw that."
Was that some that you were with, or
somebody
was he your date?
Just started dating. Someone I just started dating. Well, he wasn't a very good person because he was in and out within 2 weeks. He was one of those all in and then bailing. But yeah, I did it. I felt wonderful. It was, I wasn't drunk. People are like, "Oh, you drank a lot." I'm like, "No, I had one glass of wine my entire party because I wanted to be present for it." But no, I was just dropping into my sensuality. I was just doing that beautiful dance, and as an expression, I got criticized for it. So that does make you want to drop back in to yourself.
Yes, especially maybe the guy was just jealous that you were doing it and other people were seeing it. Maybe he just wanted it all for you. I mean, maybe it's probably nothing to do with your dance, but how easy would it be to think okay, maybe I shouldn't be doing this, and then stop doing this.
Right. And then some other people oh yeah, some guys, they don't want to see their woman up there. I'm like, no, celebrate me. It wasn't anything overtly sexual. It's like, what is it? Michelle Pfeiffer and the Fabulous Baker Boys. It was one of those, And then it was to Don't Stop Believing, I think. I was kneeling on the piano, and then I brought my girlfriend up there, and we were just not doing anything together, but weird. Yeah.
But I think I know exactly. I mean, and that's a fun night, and it's not like you said. It's not like you guys were it wasn't malicious. It was just you guys having fun. I think the problem is because I've been in that state, when we go out, I've been in that good state where all I want to do is have fun. But I've also been in the, if we're being really honest, in the overly controlling, mother, now I'm a boring wife state where I see girls like that have fun. Mm-hmm. And I look oh, why do they have to do that? Can they stop doing that? And the reason is it's got nothing to do with them. It's because I wish I had the courage to do the same thing. And it comes out as, who do you think you are dancing like that? Okay, we're out of here. And it's got nothing to do with them. Obviously, it's just because it's so, I'm almost having aha moments right now. Maybe it's so much, it's got to do with not allowing yourself to be what you really want to be. And you see someone else do it. And it's almost why can they do it? Why can't I do it? They're better than I am. I can never do this. Okay, so I failed. So there's no point for me. Look, so let's just call it a night. Right, but it's so easy.
Yes.
Nadia says you weren't twerking. Who knows? She didn't say. Maybe she was. No, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, Nadia's doing some phenomenal dancing. Oh my gosh. So you can see these comments too?
I can, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Surprisingly,
awesome.
I didn't know I could.
How do you do that?
I don't know.
Wow. Okay, I'm going to have to learn that. So Nadia is taking some amazing dancing up in Ojai where she lives at the Samsa studio or something like that. And she's put some videos up. So if you go to her page, take a look at it. And she is just moving so beautifully. And there's these beautiful sensual dances. And when I asked her about it, when I had her on a couple weeks ago, she just lit up and glowed. So finding something like that. Yeah, I want to find something like that here, definitely.
You just gave me a big aha moment because I remember, and for some crazy reason, I found in my mind, I could see myself in the hallway of a dance studio that I used to go to for a few week period of time. And I remember I probably was 10 years old, and I convinced myself that dance wasn't for me. And it wasn't that it wasn't for me. It was something that I was trying to it didn't feel, I don't know, even at 10 years, like it just took me back like a second ago when you were talking about doing something that, like
Flashback.
finding something that you love. Yes. And I remember thinking, it's not worth my time. It's not productive in any way as a 10-year-old. And I feel like even back then, maybe it's the whole thing about not putting myself at first because I'm like, this isn't developing any of my skills, not giving any credit to how big of a skill that would be now if I could just unlock my femininity, like how great that would be for my relationship. So maybe my patterns go really back into my childhood,
They
even
usually
back then,
do.
thinking like, ha. And now that you're saying that, like, I'm excited. I want to go to a dance class. Like, I want to do
Yeah,
something fun. Like,
I
why
did.
not? But even as I'm thinking of it right now, I'm thinking, well, but I could be doing this, this, and this, and this would be more productive for
Ah.
this, this, and this. And it's almost like I don't give any value to what it could unlock.
Mm-hmm.
Like how
Mm-hmm.
power, and especially thank God Ben's not here right now because he would be like, drop all the other stuff, go to a pole dancing class. Like how great that would be for my spouse too, right?
Yes, yes,
I'm
yes. I love that. Drop everything.
getting chills. But how
Nadia,
scary. Oh,
Nadia,
sorry, go
what is
ahead.
that dance you call? Oh, she says sensual grooves at Hamza is what she does. That's her
Ooh,
studio. So,
okay.
Nadia, if you can ever find out if there's any up here in Portland that's kind of the same, and Jonna lives down in Florida. I mean, she's in a tiny island, but maybe there's one that's. What's the closest city to you, to your little island?
Tampa is about an hour away.
Oh, okay,
Sarasota is 30 minutes away. Nicole,
okay.
I was waiting for you to chime in. She says pole dancing classes are so fun.
They're
You know
fun.
what? I think you're just making me.
They're fun,
It's
but they
almost like
hurt.
I'm yes. Oh yeah.
Everything you do, okay, these women, anything you do, it hurts because I did it for 11 months. I take like about 12 classes a week, but I did pole. But there's only so much flexibility I could have. There's women that were like
Yes.
probably twice as big as I am, and they were sailing around that float so gracefully, and you just see them just in their beautiful feminine glory. So the pole, there's only so much I could do,
Uh,
and it hurt everything. Aerial hoop was amazing. Everything hurts on that as well. And then the silks, you're climbing the silks too. You know,
mm-hmm.
how you see in Cirque du Soleil. Everything was just
Yes.
beautiful and graceful. There's no mirrors. You're just, it's just beautiful, but it's painful.
Oh, I love that.
It's
You know what?
painful.
I should really do that. I am always like thinking, like, why am I not doing that? Like, how awesome would that be? And you
Okay.
could get a pole in your house. Can't you like buy them on
My
Amazon?
friend Bethany had one in her living room, and it's like, oh my gosh, we come to her house and people would be doing pole. I'm like, you have a pole in your living room. That's awesome.
Does it destroy the roof or anything? Or
Well, I
do you
think
know?
there's one that's a pressure, but you want it to latch on. She didn't screw it on, but there's somehow that it pressurizes. You want
Okay.
to get a good one because you don't want to be doing it and having it,
Yeah.
fall down. But you can
Because
do a hoop too. Hoops are awesome too as well.
hoops?
Aerial hoops.
What's
Aerial
hoops?
hoops. You ever see? Yeah,
Oh,
those are
yes, yes, yes.
beautiful. I loved it.
Yes.
I moved down to the beach, so I had to leave my studio in Sherman Oaks, but I absolutely love that studio, and there's no way I was fighting the 405 like every day to go up to Sherman Oaks. No way. And that's one of the reasons I like peace out, LA. I can't
Right.
take you anymore.
I
Anymore.
love that idea, but how awesome would that be to go take like dancing classes with your girls and then have a pole in the bedroom and then show, because I mean, men are really visual. All they care about is, I could imagine, I just put on hot lingerie and show, hey, this is what I learned at class today, because I'm thinking of how like this,
They're
like
simple.
how my mind works. And all he would care probably is just watching it, right? What
Yeah.
an easy thing to do, easy thing not to do as well, as Jim Rohn would say. I have to do this. You're getting me excited now.
Okay. All
I
right.
should do this. Why haven't I done this?
I'll hold you accountable. I'm going to have you're
Oh
going to do
no.
some kind of dance. I have to find something too out there, because, like I said, I've been single for a long time, which has been, it's
Hmm.
good, but, I don't have that dynamic interaction with a man. And I'm all about
Hmm.
femininity. And, a lot of times I can be in my mind too. I need something that
Hmm.
keeps me here in my body. And like, movement is so important for women. And, this morning I got
Hmm.
up and did some stretching, and that's why I like to go walking, or, yoga I did the other day, but just dance. I know whenever I'm out on the dance floor, I hear music, I know I can drop in and be there. And I need that for myself, just
Yes,
to
yes.
keep her, I say her, just to keep her
Hmm.
radiating, keep her alive, keep her attracting.
Oh my, you're giving me more like a couple months ago, I told Ben, I'm like, I have to get back to Tony Robbins events because I miss that music and and you know what it is? It was because I was thinking, why is it so, like, why do I want to go back to a room filled with strangers, granted, like-minded strangers? And I realized it's that maybe a lot of it had to do with music. You just gave me another aha. I think it was because in Tony Robbins seminars, all you do is dance, right? Every other like 30 minutes. And you can't just sit down. You're supposed to let go and freely be who you are. And I think at that place, the environment gives me permission to do that without people judging me because they're doing the same stuff. So I think what I was really craving wasn't necessarily, even though I would love to go back for his teachings, but it was more like allowing myself to be who I really want to be. But in my environment, I feel like I've created this excuse of like, I can't do it here. Why couldn't I do it here? Of course I can do it here.
It's like Patty Aubrey has the course Permission Granted, like that year-long course, but you have to give yourself permission. You can do it anywhere. And yeah, and I've done, events as well. And they always have that dance, like Coop Blackson is my, I'm not I haven't done any of the Tony stuff. I know a lot of, the community has done it. It's, he's done amazing things. It's brought so many people together, but I follow Coop Blackson. He gives so much of himself, but there is a lot of dancing because it gets your energy up, and it gets you out of your head and it keeps you, because he'll go on for like 12 hours. Like it's like, okay, it's supposed to end at like, like he'll start at 9. It's like, okay, this is going to go till like 7 o'clock at night, 1 in the morning. Like, that's amazing.
That's what we did at Date with Destiny. It was a 6-day program. It started at 9 a.m. until 3 a.m. every single day. And I had my Fitbit even back then. 17,000 steps every single day. And all we did was sit down in the seminar room and dance. That was so awesome. Goodness. I got to look that up too. I think you've given me so many aha moments. I love this. Like, who am I? What happened to me?
I love it.
Yeah. Where have I been? And it's so funny because a lot of these things, like, I feel like maybe in the back of my head, like maybe intellectually, I know them, I'm aware of them, but sometimes it takes that special someone from the outside, like you, just saying it to me so straight, so in such a, what is the word? Like straightforward, like common sense way that it really clicks. Like, what you should be doing. Yeah. If you're not doing it, how will you get closer to what you really want to get to?
Well, it's just holding space and opening up and holding space for you to wake up to yourself.
Yes. Yes. Oh, yeah. That's so beautiful. One of the things in my program, Finding Mama, that I host for moms that are really overwhelmed, can help them transform their mindset and their lifestyle. One of the exercises that we do is I have them put on a to-do list. Or I have them think that it's Sunday night and they have a to-do list that they have to set for the week. So they come up with 10 different to-do things for the week. And then I tell them to erase that, like, from their mind. And on the bottom, put 3 top goals in their life right now. And then we open up the whole sheet and we go by one. Okay, on that to-do list, how many items fall under the goals that you have set for yourself? And a lot of times the goals are to get healthier, to have a better intimate relationship with your spouse, to have more me time. And what happens is on the to-do list, there's nothing towards those goals. So, and it's such a powerful exercise because you realize what you're doing daily isn't really getting closer to your goals at all. And I just had the aha moment for me. Like, I want to be more feminine, but what's on my to-do list? How many things daily, weekly, monthly am I doing that's really getting me closer to giving myself permission to be more feminine? Another aha moment.
Yeah. Yes. Wow. We're gonna have to make a list of these ahas.
Yes, sometimes it's easier to teach others, right? Instead of applying that stuff to yourself.
Oh yeah, we're always the hardest. Easier. Yeah, yes. We're always the harder ones to learn. So Nicole says Nadia is a beautiful dancer. Yes, she is. And Nadia says Mama got her groove back. And she also does CrossFit. Right now. She also does CrossFit. Man, Nadia is super in mama. Shape. Yes, super mama.
My goodness.
And Nicole says, me too. I got to find a place. I want to tap into my sensuality. And Nicole says, yes, get the grooves back on fire. And Nadia says, it definitely has helped spark things even more in the bedroom with my husband. Ooh, la, la.
And I think a lot of it, especially like just the attire that you wear, like it took me the longest time to realize if I'm in that old gray t-shirt that has that baby food on it, to Nicole's point, how do you just expect to turn it on at night? You put the kids to bed, you clean, after you cook, you clean, and you take care of the household. Then you walk into your bedroom and somehow you think that your physical being, like that you can just magically, that's men, that's not women. You can't, as women, we can't just turn it on like that. We got to do something.
Yes.
Maybe look more sexual, maybe, dance more sexual, do something like you said, like I feel like for me, maybe, who knows, maybe this will turn out to be true, maybe not. I need to get a pole in my bedroom.
I'm going to be responsible for that.
Yes, oh yeah, we'll have on it. Idea by Nancy, right?
Oh gosh.
So funny. But it's also, I feel like finding, maybe it's just the crazy in me, but I feel like finding somehow sometimes practical steps, like practical, okay, like what is it that I imagined, that I vision that I myself to be feminine in? I think that's a key component to it too, because if I'm just thinking of myself starting to dance like this because it's not in me, because I don't have any accountability here for me to do that, I probably would end up not doing it. Does that
Hmm.
make any sense? Like if
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
it
have
does
any
make sense.
practical like decide what I'm gonna do and have find something to like hold on to before it becomes more natural, and then I can fly, get out of it, and
Hmm.
I can do the Tony feminine dance.
Maybe we should do some kind of
Oh,
challenge. Get into your sensuality challenge,
yes,
in a group or
yeah,
something, and then have accountability, like a 5-day challenge. Maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll do that in this group. That would be
yes,
kind of fun. I'll have to think of something and I'll
yes,
integrate a week, and then everyone's going to be accountable.
yes. Oh yeah.
And then it's not
One of
even
my
accountable. You're going to want to do it. It's going to be natural. You're going to come on and be like, oh my
That's right. And it sometimes it is like one of the weeks we've really focused on giving mamas more time. So I really was trying to teach them to get up at 5
gosh.
a.m., even though it's hard, but you're going to get that extra
Wow.
hour for
Yeah.
you, mama. And all of the moms that week, they woke up every single day because they knew I was calling them. And I wasn't calling them to chit chat with them for 30 minutes. It was more like, hey, you up? Okay, awesome. Proud of you. Continue doing that. And then they just got that because they knew I was calling. I feel like that had something to do with it because it was someone else. Because if I didn't call, they could just be like, oh, I'll just try again tomorrow. It's so soft,
Yes.
you
No,
know?
yes,
So
the
I
bed.
love that idea.
You know what? I need you to call me because I'm one that like I'll wake up at 6:30. I mean, the time's going to change, so I'll be getting up earlier, but I wake up
Hmm.
and I like laid in bed for an hour today. Like sometimes I'll meditate in bed. But
Yeah.
like I just lay there. It's so comfortable. It's dark, it's colder,
Hmm.
and I'd love to like I don't want 5 a.m. wake up. No, thank you.
Why
But I
not? No, no, no.
no.
Hold on. Why not?
No, I love my sleep at 6:30. If I can get up at 6:30 and get going, I got up at 7:30 to out of bed at 7:30. I woke up at 6:30, got out of bed at 7:30.
Uh-huh.
And I
What's
don't have a
6:30?
family run.
What's that
It,
my time?
that's 9:30.
No, okay. I can call you. I can do that.
You
I can wake up at 6:30 your time.
I just need to put my phone in the other room because I don't even wake up to an alarm. I do wake up, but I just don't want to get up because it's part of my thing. It's part of me as a woman.
Yeah.
What I'd love to do to lay in there. At least very fortunate that I can wake up without an alarm, and
Yes.
I can take that
Yes.
extra time to kind of luxuriate in bed because it really sets me up for the day. Because if I had to bounce out of
Hmm.
bed with an alarm and go, I don't have time to tap into
Yes.
myself. I don't have time because I lay there. I'm in gratitude. Sometimes I'll put a meditation on, and I've been doing meditations lying down, and my body knows as soon as I put it on, it really it starts to relax and it drops into. I used to always
Mm.
pop up and do it, but I wanted to
Yes.
talk to you, and then we'll, get some of these comments here because we've been in here an hour. Oh, there's lots of good comments. I can't
An
wait to.
hour? Holy
Yeah,
goodness.
yes. So, talk a little bit more about your Mamas Helping Mamas. You just launched
Hmm.
that, right? Last week?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Well, I had, it's my class number 2. So I've ran the program once, and this was my second program to start. So it's a program under my brand, Mama Helping Mamas, called Finding Mama. And the whole idea of it is kind of to tap kind of like into the feminine side of motherhood as well, but to really find what is it that the mama likes to do, because we're always serving everybody else. We're serving the kids, we're serving the husband, the household, the community, and we're not on the top of our list. Like we never put ourselves first. We're always on the bottom. And what happens is eventually you're going to run out of stuff. So the whole idea, it kind of came about like I wanted to create something that I craved when I was in that really overwhelming season in my life. So I wanted to come up with a kind of, in a fancy way to say it, is I really, really want to focus. I really help mamas who are overwhelmed kind of transform their mindset and hence their lifestyle into ultimate fulfillment, which is just a fancy way of saying I fix the shit in their head. Because we get so much like stuck in our own thoughts, and all of us like all those like primary questions, like all the moms ask themselves, why am I so tired? Why am I so tired? Well, what is your brain going to give you as an answer? Oh, because the kids, the husband, the household, the chores, everything else. So you're giving yourself answers, but you're not really getting forward in life. So the whole idea of the course is to really switch those questions. Like instead of asking yourself, why am I so tired? Ask yourself, how could I be less tired? Or better yet, how could I have more energy? So you're teaching your brain, which is a very
Mm-hmm.
powerful tool, but you're teaching your brain to search for better quality answers.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it's just going to stay the same. So it's a 6-week program, and there's different topics all the way from relationship and sex to practical tools to fixing your physical surroundings, because we all know more clutter outside is less space inside. And it's kind of like a mommy lifestyle makeover, even though I don't like so much the word makeover, but it kind of is that to the mindset of the crazy season of motherhood.
And so you do it via Zoom, right? You do it Zoom,
Yes,
and
yes,
it's like
yes.
what, an hour and a half, and
Yeah.
you have
Yes, it's an hour.
exercises.
Yes, we meet every Tuesday evening, 9:30 Eastern time for about an hour and a half, and then I have homework that I give them after the class before the next class to be completed. And then we also, of course, have an online support group where we could share share the, like you said, the real raw stories behind the scenes during the day.
I'm sure you
So
have
it's been
a lot of women that need that.
Yes, yes, I do. And the more I think, and I just got the testimonials from my first course, and it's so funny. They all say the same. The number one takeaway that they have is they really thought they were the only one. And it was so like something lifted off their shoulders, like, oh, you struggle with this too? Oh, you too can't just turn it on whenever the husband wants to. Like it was almost like that was the biggest, like, and isn't that it was really empowering to hear that, but also sad at the same time, like how many moms and women overall are out there who think they're alone with their thoughts. Yeah, and that's really this empower that's really it can leave you so isolated and so lonely.
And they're not.
And it's
Go ahead.
I was just saying that the whole reason for this came about the seasons that I went through, the dark moments that I went through, because there was a time in my life, especially when Maverick was born. He was 2 weeks old, and I remember I started recording videos of myself just crying. I'm not making any sense in those videos, but I felt like maybe there was a bigger need. And now turns out I'm sharing those videos, and I find so many mothers, they just reach back out to me and they say, thank you for sharing, because that's me. And I thought I was the only one, ugly, crying, not making any sense. It's almost like never wanted to hurt my kids or myself, but I could see where it could get to that point. If you think that that's all you are now, somebody's milk machine, and you lose your identity. And it's not so much that you lost it, you can never really lose it, it's just transforming into something else. And I feel like just talking out loud about these things can be a huge relief to mothers. So I created what I created because I didn't have anybody to talk to in those seasons. And it's funny for me to say that because I had a very supportive husband. I had thousands of business associates right around me, because we were working our MLM business back then, and we had thousands of people on our team. So I had so many people around me. I had a wonderful family. Granted, my family was in Finland, so they were far, yet I still felt like I had nobody to talk to. Isn't that sad? So I'm thinking, what about the mom who doesn't have all that, the single mom who has none of that, and they're alone with their thoughts? Like, I always feel like it would be a disservice if I didn't help them with the tools that I found very helpful. Long answer to your question, sorry.
No, I love it. It's beautiful. And it's like, that's the thing about everything. Whatever you're going through, you're not alone. And when you're going through it, you know, what your greatest pain is, where your biggest aha is, where you wake up and you help other people through it. So you had the hindsight to, you know, you recorded yourself in those dark days, and look at how much it's helping these other women through it. Like, oh my gosh, I went through that. Okay, I thought it was just me. I thought I was a bad person. It comes back to being a bad person. I'm not and then it spirals down to I'm not worthy. I'm not lovable. You know, that whole thing, like, I'm not a good mom.
Absolutely. And most moms don't realize that what it really comes down, because all you're thinking is, oh, I can't clean fast enough, I'm a failure. It has nothing to do with cleaning, right? It has everything to do with your blueprint, the unrealistic expectation that you set yourself, and you convince yourself that that's the only way to be a mother. And when it doesn't match your reality, you get overwhelmed. And it's not your fault, but the brain doesn't know the difference. My favorite saying, kind of going with what you just said, is the scars that you share become lighthouses for those who are headed to the same rocks as you hit.
Oh, I love that. I just got chills.
That's my whole tagline behind everything, because I was so embarrassed of those scars. I was especially sharing, like, Ben edited all these crying videos together, and he made it really emotional. Of course, crying music or beautiful music in the background. I can't watch it without crying. But as I'm looking at it, I'm really realizing that those are the most painful, embarrassing. I still use the word embarrassing because that's where my mind was at that point. Like, humiliating moments, seasons of my life, but I realized that they're scars for a reason. Maybe by me sharing them, they can truly become that lighthouse for someone else who's maybe in that season, maybe headed to that season. Maybe they've gone through that season and they have so much guilt about it that they
Mm-hmm.
never really truly, worked their way out of it. So, if it's, I mean, what's the point of having all these scars if I don't share them with anybody? Then they're just my scars, this shitty season that I
Mm-hmm.
went through. Like, why not help others with it? And at the same time, one of these mamas, and I think I'll share it later today on one of my videos, but one of these moms, they said that they have so much that they feel like they have gone through several divorces, 5 kids in the household, and they feel like they could write a book about all that they've been able to overcome, because there's a lot of mothers in similar situations who don't know if they're good enough to be living anymore. So she had gotten so inspired that she's now writing a book
Wow.
helping other mothers in that similar situation. So truly, what is the saying? The candle loses nothing by lighting another candle. And I just
Right.
love that when moms come together, because it's so
Mm-hmm.
easy to just start judging each other and shaming each other. And that all comes back to not feeling like you're good enough yourself.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you had said
So,
it's sometimes hard for moms to really connect with other women, right? Like,
yes.
yeah, like,
Yeah. And I
because
feel it.
oh, because there's like, I know that I have some mom friends, because there's mommy and me and there's play groups, but they're the mom friends, but then they still have their friends. Like, there's a group of us friends that have been friends for a long time. They became moms, but we're still their whole foundation and we're still their own structure, because they, they're like, oh, I don't want to be with all the mom friends, because it's a whole
Yes.
different,
Yes. And
dynamic.
I feel like motherhood, it's kind of like dating, except harder, because now you're talking about decisions with your kids and you're wondering, well, do they have a tight schedule? Do they eat only organic food? Can we go to McDonald's and
Mm,
have a play date? And it's almost, I think it's self-caused, at least for me, like not wanting to connect with other moms like as early as I should have. It was more like, I don't want to, I don't want them, I don't, no, 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 I don't, it's kind of hard to explain. Like, I didn't want to be in that mom mindset. I wanted to hold on to the previous me. I'm fun. I'm with the singles. Let me do this stuff.
mm-hmm,
Oh yeah, I have my kid. But like, it was almost hard to accept that new identity and really embrace it, because the moment that you open up to another mother, granted, sometimes you don't get along with other mothers, but when you open up to another mother, it's almost like all the walls come down. Like, okay, so we're in the same boat. Oh, you too feel that way? Oh,
mm-hmm,
you too didn't want to
mm-hmm,
connect with me? Okay. Like, we're on the same level now. But it takes that, like you said, certain vulnerability, certain authenticity to be able to do that. Because
mm-hmm.
otherwise it's just like, here's my kids with my organic celery juice. What are you? Oh,
Oh,
McDonald's. Oh, okay.
yes, yes, the pressure that they're putting on. I see
Yes.
Amber going through it, like with Riley in school, and they had to have, like, she packaged stuff, and like, oh, she gets a call like, oh, it's really, you need to give them these bento boxes because we can't open all these packages, or oh, you gave her peanut butter, you can't have peanut butter, because other kids are allergic to it, and it just, I don't know about nowadays. Like I said, I'm not a
Hmm.
mom myself, but I see what other moms are going through, and I
Yes.
just can't believe it. It seems a lot harder because the
Yes.
expectations. Oh, it's eating
Yeah.
organic. This. Oh my gosh, you're giving him packaged food, or it's just
Yes.
I can't imagine. I'd be like,
No, for sure. And one of the, this reminded me of the daycare. They put a note in Maverick's backpack. This was months ago, right when he started. They put, maybe some fruit at lunch would be nice. And so
oh,
before I tell you how I feel, their point was, okay, I wasn't sending that much fruit with them, so maybe I should do some, just as an idea. Like, hey, by the way, your kids might like fruit at lunch because everybody else is having it, and fruit is good for you. I remember like breaking down on the ground. I cried because I
oh,
felt like, oh no, I wasn't giving them good nutrition. I'm a terrible mother. Everybody else is getting fruit at lunch except for my kids. And there they were, just trying to give me a nice tip. They weren't doing anything malicious, but I took it so to your point about the whole peanut butter and everything, it can be so sensitive, especially to new mothers, all this
mm-hmm,
information, all these comments. It's almost like you forget, like, even if, like, my response could have been like, no, my kids only eat fruit at dinner, like, I don't need to send it because they're just going to be
mm-hmm.
messy at
But
school.
you
That could have
internalized
been my,
it totally
yes.
different. You
Oh yeah.
internalize it different. See, I would have
Uh,
taken him like, don't tell me what to do. That's
yeah, yeah. See,
I
that's the
think,
me that I think I
yeah,
am. Like, if there's ever a zombie, what's the
a
word?
zombie
Z-
apocalypse.
Yes, I think I'm the one with the like ready to fight everybody. I'm probably in the corner being like, "Oh my God, Ben, save me." So I like to think I'm the mom that's like, "Don't tell me what to do," but in
Hmm.
reality, I'm the one that has a meltdown privately on my
Oh,
kitchen floor.
so do are they getting fruit with their lunch now? So you're
They
getting,
are. They have fruit most of the day. Not
mhm,
always. Depends on how much I'm willing to
right.
prepare.
And that's okay.
Fridays are the best days because it's pizza day at daycare, so I don't have
Oh,
to
okay.
prepare lunch. Oh, by the way,
Good day.
one of these teachers at the daycare, they did tell me on Fridays, even though they have pizza day, they should probably still have some fruit. A lot of the kids have fruit. So I actually did a live video about it, and I said, no, not my kids. They like pizza. They're gonna eat
Yeah,
pizza. So I
I
guess
think
I
I
have
saw that
developed
one.
in some ways. Yes.
I have seen that one. I have seen that one. It's like, oh my God, I don't, I mean, when I grew up as a kid, we had like our little, paper bags, and we had like our little Flintstone lunch boxes, and we got to
Mm-hmm.
eat peanut butter and jelly, and we got to, it
Yes.
wasn't organic, it wasn't celery, it wasn't gluten-free, it wasn't like, all these things I can't even
Besides,
imagine.
if you go to the grocery store, this is my biggest, like at Walmart, they have bananas. Then they have the same bananas that say organic bananas.
Hmm.
So what are the bananas that aren't organic?
I saw
I
you
guess it's the
shopping. It
way.
was so funny. Your shopping
I can't get
expedition
over
with your
it.
husband. You're like, I'm going to get these bananas because they're a couple cents cheaper. Boom. And you're
Yes.
so funny at Costco or,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh yeah. But even at the like one of the reasons, especially for my video about fruit with pizza, because I was thinking, well, maybe they should still get something healthy at lunch. But then I learned that they give every Friday, they have Nutella with these, maybe you saw Maverick's picture, Nutella with little,
Little sticks.
the little
Yeah. The little,
breadsticks.
yeah.
Yeah. So they're eating like crap all day anyways. And I felt like the teacher was making me feel bad. Maybe she wasn't, but I felt the way I took it, I got so sensitive and I took it as I wasn't providing my kids with healthy nutrition. So
Hmm.
that hence the breakdown. But then I
Hmm.
realized that, okay, that had nothing to do with that because I give them Nutella all day anyway. So, yes, to Nicole's point, so much pressure. Yes.
Yeah. So much pressure. You mamas, I tell you. All right. I'm going to look at some of these comments. And
Hmm.
Nicole says, I was taking them back in DC and can't wait to get to LA to get to do them again. I think Nicole's talking about some classes. Pole dancing
Yeah, I
classes
think
are
pole
so
dances.
fun.
Yeah.
Goddess Fitness was awesome in Sherman Oaks. It used to be over by Van Nuys in Ventura. I think it moved further down by Woodman. And it was this awesome studio. I think it's still there. If you do want to take classes, that place was awesome. I think it was $99 for the month. And I think they had a month unlimited for a great deal. They have they have belly dancing, they have burlesque dancing, they have
Ooh.
pole, and then they have performances. I did a Valentine's Day performance, and that's at the very bottom of my Instagram. And when I did Instagram way back when, so you'll see not the performance, but you'll see like the outfit that I wore. Nobody came to
Hmm.
it. I was so like, I invited people. Everyone was busy, and it's like nobody cares. Nobody came to see me. So everyone had people there, and I had this great performance, but I felt alone. I felt really alone. Yes.
Oh,
So
oh,
so Nicole says, Nadia, you got to give us dance lessons. Yes, Nadia, let's do a live.
yes.
Let's do a live about it. Let's do a little, or we could do a little Zoom. You know what? Let's do some kind of Zoom class around dance, around movement, around something. So
Yes.
we'll have a little party at some point.
And
And
the cameras could be far away. Like I could set it way over there so we could all set them far away so we could actually do the dances
yes,
as we're
yes,
yes.
yes. I think we're
I
gonna have a
love
party.
that.
Okay, for sure. So Nadia says, I'm working with dance teacher Devin to bring class online somehow so more women around the world can do it with us.
Ooh.
She does these great lives called Gyration Station. Follow. And then she gave the follow there. Definitely will follow.
Okay,
I
I will
like that.
too. Yes.
Gyration
Thank
Station.
you.
Yeah, lives would be great. And then, of course in person, because then you've got the energy and the music's right there.
Hmm.
But until then, a Zoom class for sure. Uh,
Hmm.
and Nicole says, ooh, thanks, Nadia. And hi, Bonnie. Good to see you. We've just like undulated all over the place from, mamahood
Yes.
to, how she moved to Florida and husband and like, being sexy for him and, dancing and femininity. So
Hmm.
we've got the whole gamut in her mama program, which I love. And then Nadia says, you got to keep the juices flowing
Hmm.
and your first and second chakras open, and yes, keep magnetizing. Yeah, your base chakra, your root chakra, it's where your
Yeah.
safety and where you're grounded. That's the first one above everything. It's like the sacral energy, the feminine energy
Mm.
is located right there. And
Yeah. And if
Nadia's relationship with her husband, she's been with him a long time, and
ooh.
yeah, if you see them together, if you see photos of them together,
Okay,
yeah,
I want to
it's
know how
dynamic.
many years? How many years? Do you know?
Nadia,
Maybe she can put it in the
I
comments.
think, I don't remember. I think 17 years total, right, Nadia? And married for 10 or something like that. She's been a long time. If she's still here, if you
Holy
can
goodness.
comment. Hi, Angela. Good to see you. How's your babies? Your mama.
Hi.
So she's in LA. Tell Christy I said hello. I haven't seen you in
And
so long.
and to your point about like doing Zoom classes and all that stuff, it's almost like going back to the to-do list and what our goals are. Like if my goal is to be more feminine and allow myself to be that, overall, just especially in my intimate relationship, how do I expect myself to do that if I don't put it on my to-do list?
Right.
As as practical as that sounds. But if I don't have any daily, weekly, or monthly steps to get closer to that goal, how could I possibly ever achieve it? It's almost like I think I'm some kind of a superhuman where I'll just think about it every once in a while. Maybe magically when I enter the bedroom with my gray long t-shirt and filled with baby food, it'll just turn magically on. I don't think that's happening because it hasn't happened. It never happens with the gray shirt. It's got to be something else always.
Yes, write it down because you're very, you write it down, you put it in, and that's another aha moment you got, like how
Yes.
it's going on your to-do list now.
Yes. Oh yeah. And just changing the outfit. And I think a lot of us moms, especially because it's the end of the day, we feel like, well, we've given so much to this and that, and now we're so exhausted. And we're saying to ourselves, oh, I hate when Ben tells me, don't say that to yourself. I'm like, don't tell me what to not to say to myself. And I tell myself, I'm so exhausted. I'm so tired. Like, how do I think that magically, if I tell myself that all the time, my brain's going to believe it. So even if I did have some energy at the end of the day, I'm going to have convinced myself that I am too tired and I shouldn't switch off of that gray t-shirt into something more sexy, right? Because I'm convincing myself. And then I stay up for 3 hours afterwards watching Shark Tank, laughing my ass off for 3 hours. And somehow I didn't have the energy to switch into something sexy.
Right. Right. Because if he's coming at you, telling
myself.
you, yeah, he's telling you to do it, you're like, nope, I'm not going to do that. Nope.
Yes. Oh yeah,
Shark Tank.
And
So,
and maybe especially if we want to get really real, sometimes it's because, well, Ben didn't take the trash out. So it's more like this horror type of love, like, well, you didn't take the trash out, so I'm not going to be sexy tonight. It's like, oh yeah, that's great for the relationship long term. Like this horror love, you do this and I'll do that.
Right.
Granted, sometimes I think it's fun. You can have a lot of fun with it. Like, hey, just scrub the kitchen, please, and then we'll do this afterwards. Sometimes it's fun, but long term, if that's the only way to have an intimate relationship, I think it can be pretty dangerous.
well, you can invite him to do it too. That inspires him to do it. Like, oh, it makes me feel really good. Like, oh, I just love when you do that. Or, it makes me feel really good when I have a clean kitchen or,
oh my God, I have to share this with you.
Okay.
So I was in my bedroom. I think I was with Maverick helping him with something. He was falling asleep. And then Ben was in the living room. This was during nap time. And we were texting. We always text back and forth in the house. And we were texting. And I said something. We were talking about this very mad, like all this stuff I'm sharing with you, we talk about with Ben all the time anyways. And I was talking about how I really enjoy, it wasn't my intent to ask for anything, but I was telling him how for me, it's like, to really be able to relax, because telling him it's hard for me to feel relaxed sometimes. I was telling him how if the house is super clean, if my environment is perfect, where as a mother I don't have to take care of anything, to Nicole's point, I don't have to take care of the dishes or the laundry or anything. If the house is spotless, the kids are in bed, I will feel more relaxed. I forgot he cleaned the whole freaking house, everything in the kitchen and living room, bedroom, everything, and he put the kids to bed. I don't remember what happened. I think I still felt too tired at the end of that night. Now I feel really bad if I did that. I can't go back to it. But he did do that. And I wasn't giving it to him as, okay, hey, clean the whole house. You know what? No, that was actually a good night. I wasn't telling that to him as like, okay, clean the whole house and we'll have sex for hours. Right. But it was more like he saw, I think it was more like me being really vulnerable, which is sometimes really hard to do. Like really just saying like, I just wish I didn't have to take care of everything all the time. And so he went and he cleaned the whole house. And I remember, oh yeah, he was on his conference calls with his headset and he was mopping the floors. I totally forgot about that.
And he heard you. He heard you. So it's an invitation, and then he's a hero. He can be a hero for you. And, and then you can acknowledge him for that. And he'll want to do it more, instead of being like, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that. They're going to push back against him.
And typically I even take it away from him. I'm like, oh, well, I have to do the dishes. Oh, I have to do the laundry. It's like I'm becoming my own martyr. Like, oh, but I need to do this before I could possibly
because you're not doing it right. Yeah. Like, no, you don't do that right. Like I've seen women emasculating their men, like, taking care of the child. Like, oh, you didn't do that. Oh, he never does it right. Like,
Yes.
Yeah, no, you
What
feel
is
good about
right,
it.
by the way, anyways?
Right,
My way isn't like it's just my way.
right.
It's like we've created this, like, oh, my biggest thing when Maddie was born, I was like, only I can take care of her. Like nobody else held Maddie for like 6 months. I held her all the time.
Mm,
And then finally I decided, okay, maybe there's other humans in this world that know how to take care of the baby, not just me, the new mama. It's funny
uh,
how we convince ourselves of things.
yeah, I'm the only one. It's my way or the highway, right?
Yes. Oh yeah. Have you seen that, totally off topic, but have you seen that meme, go big or go home?
Mm-hmm.
So
Which
my
one?
response is, what's wrong with going home? I'm like, I'd love to go home and take a nap.
Yes,
Sorry,
I
totally
love
off
home.
topic.
It's funny. So Bonnie says, "Hi, gorgeous ladies, just tuning in." And Bonnie says, "I need to get my sister to take the course, your course, Jonna.
Ooh,
She has
yeah,
two,
let's chat.
she has two teens and two little ones, and she's always in a state of overwhelm. Yes, definitely reach
Yes,
out to
yes,
Jonna, and I'm going
yes.
to
And
put in."
sometimes just a quick tip, sometimes we forget, like, it's okay to be overwhelmed in that season. We have this whole, like, who convinced us that like, it's a stressful season. Sometimes it's okay to be overwhelmed in that season. And I think the moment that we give ourselves, what's the word that the phrase you used before, like permission granted, like,
Permission
it's
granted.
okay.
Hmm.
This is overwhelming. That's okay.
Hmm.
You know? Sorry, continue.
And I thought of something the other day when I was in yoga, like it's just like everything in life, if you think about it, because, the sun was out yesterday. So the sun is always there. The sun is always, always there. So there might just, be some fog, or there might be mist, or there might be clouds, or there might
Mm-hmm.
be storm, and you can't see it. Just like the nighttime, the sun is still there.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just it, and then it's always there. Like the clouds will disappear or the mist disappears, and there's the sun. It's just like the light that you have within yourself. It's
Yes.
always there. It's always there. It's always there. It's all our own conditioning. It's all our own thoughts. It's,
Mm-hmm.
not being present that keeps us from seeing it, but
Yes.
it's always there, and it's something
Mm.
always to return to.
Yes.
That's
And
like your,
sometimes I feel like we've convinced ourselves that we are negative. It is hard. It is overwhelming. And it's like we just enjoy the rainy days. Like the more dark you are, the more like depressed you are, the more anxious you are. It's like it's your new identity. So
mhm,
we ride with it. It's like, oh, great. My worst day of my life. This
mhm.
is just great. And it's like we get a kick out of it because sometimes, like, do you have any people on your Facebook that only complain about everything all the time? And it's people are responding to them, telling
I
them, "Oh, I'm
just
so
don't.
sorry,
I just do
you've
not like.
removed
That's
them."
why I was like Facebook. Like I almost deleted my account back then when Trump got elected. I'm like, I can't listen to this. I'm like, this is
You can't
awful.
handle
I,
their
I can't, I
behavior.
can't. So I literally am on Facebook. I might tune into
Uh-huh.
you. I'm with people in our Facebook Live community. I'm in my
Hmm.
group Radiant Divine. I'm in your group. I'm in Joyful Souls Rising. I'm in all our
Hmm.
collective groups, and it's all
Yeah.
uplifting,
Yes.
positive. Not saying that we're all like in perfect conditions all the time. We might be
Hmm.
raw, we might be vulnerable, we might not be feeling well, but we're all collectively
Yes.
raising each other up.
I think
Like
that's a really smart thing to do. I have, and it's a part of my, like, I don't know, I feel like I can and should help everybody. And so it's hard to realize you can't and you shouldn't. But these people that are always complaining about stuff, then it's like when they get a response out of others, it's like they thrive on that. It's like a
yeah,
kick for
feed
them,
off of
like,
it.
oh, this is my new identity. And it's really dangerous.
It's very
Really
dangerous.
dangerous.
Yeah, I didn't like where that was going. I just got the low I just got the low battery warning, so I'm going to go through some of these
Oh
comments, and I need to
no.
get
Okay.
off before like it just
Yes, 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 yes,
shuts down. So
yes.
Tina Gesso is here. Hi, lovely lady.
Hello, Tina.
And Bonnie says, haha, after seeing Hustler with my boyfriend, he said he wants to get a pole in the
Yes,
bedroom. Do it, do it, do
yes.
it.
I
And when I
love
come
that
to
movie.
Scottsdale, I'm going to come over. uh, yeah, I love it. And Nicole says, yes, Zoom class and dancing. And Tina says, hey,
Mhm,
beautiful. And Kelly Christine, hi, lovely. Nicole says,
mhm,
I'm a single mom, but still want to tap into my femininity and sensuality. So thank you for
mm,
the reminder. Yes,
mm.
yes. And I also have a course, Nicole, to tap you right into your femininity, which is launching in 2 weeks. And Star is
Yay!
here.
What's the official date?
Star, it's going to be November 6th on Wednesday at 5:30 p.m.
Hmm.
till 7 p.m. And there's
Okay.
going to be like 6 secrets that we dive into. There's going to be interactive homework. There's going to be inspiring meditations.
Hmm.
And it's going to be a lot of fun. And I have a free master class on Monday if anyone wants to come and join.
Ooh.
I want to, there's people that are in Europe that didn't get to see it. So I'm having it at 10 in the morning, which is 7 p.m. like European time. So
Perfect
so
time.
people
Yeah.
that missed it the last time. So if you're available on Monday, you can come in for
Hmm.
free. It'll only be like an hour, 45 minutes. There's this
Hmm.
amazing meditation at the end that leaves women like glowing and smiling from ear to ear. So it'll be a good way to
Ah.
start the day and a good way to end the day for those who are
Yes.
overseas. And Star
Yes.
Nicole says,
Perfect.
love you too, Star. And she's a mom herself. So, ladies, thank you all for tuning in with Jonna Jones. Thank you so much. This was so much fun. I think we've been on here for an
Thank you
hour
for
and a
having
half.
me.
We'll have to
Holy
definitely have you
goodness.
come on again. So, Kelly
I would love
says,
that.
I'll need to remember to add to my to-do list to work in my
Mm.
femininity. Thanks for that reminder.
Yes.
Yes. I mean,
Yes.
if we have
Yes.
to
Yes.
write
Yes.
it down until it becomes second
Hmm.
nature, we do it. Or if we can post it in our
Right.
car, post it somewhere feminine. So when we're like driving around, maybe getting mad
Hmm.
at traffic, or we walk into the kitchen, we're in our head. Oh yeah, that's right.
Hmm.
Just even a quick
Yes.
minute to,
Yes.
there you
You
are.
know what? I just had my fourth aha. I'm gonna start cleaning. When I clean the kitchen at the end of the night, I think I'll switch to my outfit for the night
Yeah.
before I clean. So I'll clean. So that's basic, maybe that will motivate the husband, help me with the cleaning. But it'll
Yes.
also
Yep.
be, it's not so much like doing the dishes in my gray,
Right.
long baby food filled t-shirt, but it's also, maybe it'll get me in the mood too. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Well,
try that.
if you sweep, like just like maybe put on some music while you're doing and sweep and move your little hips. Like Tina walks across her office space now with a little sachet in her hips, and you'll put
Ooh.
something sexy on, and your husband's gonna be like, I'm gonna help her more often if this is gonna come out of her. Without telling him, he's just gonna be inspired too,
Right. Oh
because
yeah. Oh
yes.
yeah. Yeah. The worst you could do is say, I'm doing this now, so you better take care of the trash right
Right,
now.
right, right. Boom.
That's so funny.
Yes.
Thank you
Well,
so much for
yes, thank
having
you,
me. Thank
Jana. That
you.
was wonderful. And, I'm going to put her information in this post so you can see how to find her. And thank you for tuning in, Jana. This was so
Thank
much
you for
fun.
having me. Oh,
Yes,
this was fun.
yes. All right.
Have a beautiful
Okay,
day.
you too. Love you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.